Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1 World Championship, where today for the Belgian Grand Prix this man is the home hero and he's looking to score some good points to try and fight for his championship campaign to come back and get the man that's right in front of him, who's not right in front of him, because I don't think it's him. No, it's not. That's his teammate. That's Nifojan. The man that isn't right in front of him, but the other AlphaTauri, Zingy P3, he is 41.9, still a long way away. Tire Scoresman dominating the times in qualifying right now, however. So yeah, it's good to be back round 10, the first of the double digits this season. We do have a sprint race left this season. That will be Qatar in a few races' time. Next weekend, of course, we're in line with the IRL calendar with Japan taking place there. But yeah, anyway, we continue. PJ does join, but they do automatically get retired from the lobby because they've disconnected and they're going to reconnect. That is Bassoon having a big issue. I reckon he might have got a little bit of a distraction from the disconnect there from PJ. Not really PJ's fault. I just think that's very unfortunate. So he's going to have to try and go again, see if he can improve. He's not got long to go though, so he's going to have to go in right now, come back out immediately as a long outlap, a very, very long outlap around this circuit. So you've got to be so careful, otherwise you will be in trouble. Nabil invalidating the lap. That's another thing about this circuit. It's so easy to invalidate and ruin everything. Miguel is going to get his first lap in LSI. That is a fourth place for now, a 42.9 for this man. As yeah, we haven't seen him before, the Spanish driver. We've seen him in a few 5-lap lobby races, performing very well in the past. So hopefully he can have a good race here, but he's only just jumped in last minute, reserving today in the Ferrari car. We'll see what he can do. Will he be able to challenge at the front or just score some good points? Either way, it's good to see him in the lobby. JJ is the only car on an outlap right now, I believe, so he's going to be the next one to try and set a lap in the Mercedes. No one else in his pit box. He is free to do what he wants, so that is always a good thing. Of course. Alrighty, we'll see how this one goes. Apparently, it's going to be wet to inters for the race, so I will have a quick double check to see what was said. Wet to inters, I believe, is the case. We shouldn't need to restart, so I think it is going to be that exactly. It's going to be a tricky old race. Might be that some of these guys are using higher downforce than usual, which could skew the lap times a little bit, but it won't be a big deal because, you know, you don't really want to get everything in qualifying if you're going to struggle in the race. You want to make sure that you get those good points. That being said, a dry setup in wet conditions doesn't always work terribly. You'll be an absolute rocket in a straight line. It will definitely not be very consistent, but you will be very hard to pass in certain parts of the circuit, of course. Now, JJ starts his lap. No one else is on their outlap except from Tom Brainer. Let's see what this man can do, though. Having some struggles. He's always had pace in the car, just had to try and extract it in certain areas. Been on the table a few times to win races, about 3 or 4 in his time in LSI, just not quite got there in the end. Actually, Japan, he was looking to get a very good result, but span out of the final corner. So that will be a race for him next weekend to try and look at a good result. Right now, he's going to get some good laps in, ready for tomorrow's race. He drives for Ferrari in the F1.5 EU Championship. Purple middle sector as he goes over the Delta line. 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. That is the last of the runners coming out on their final laps now. There will be no more improvements if you're too late. As I said, it is a long lap anyway. You want to make sure you have time to warm up your tyres. That's JJ invalidating. He's going to have to spend the rest of this lap regaining ERS, otherwise he's going to be absolutely screwed. You do not want to go into the pit lane at this stage of the race, or session I should say. 2 minutes, you're not going to have a chance to come back out. It's way too long of an outlap where you try and warm up those tyres to get them up to temperature. The first car on the grid to set their next lap will be Zingy, of course. Tom Buena is on track, but Zingy looks like he's going to be going to push for one. So we'll go and have a look with this man in a few moments' time. And as you can see in the background, the redwood trees and the Angorov. And now he gets to the final few major corners before the bus stop chicane to open that lap. Just brake dragging a little bit down this straight, warming up those tyres. Gradually, they should be nicely up to temperature. A circuit of this length. And now make sure everything's in check. Your ERS mode, your fuel mode, your diff, your brake bias. To start your lap, you want it to be all good. He's letting Tom Brainer go, and also Pursoon will go through. We're going to watch on with Pursoon instead. Time Hero, what can he do? Almost won the Grand Prix last time around, almost won the sprint race at least. Can he try and redeem himself? It would be good to see. Had very good pace in Silverstone, didn't quite get it in the sprint race there, and he did have some very bad luck with the strategy for the main race, but if that had not happened, maybe he would have been able to take a victory at that Grand Prix. Saudi Arabia beforehand, he did a phenomenal job, winning by an absolute massive margin. Now, Zingy, historically, this circuit hasn't played into his hands, so this could be an opportunity here for Pursoon to look at gouging a massive amount of points out of Zingy's lead as he tries to continue to cut back on the gap that he's got. Zingy had a bad race last time around, so it is closing in. He just needs to make sure that he keeps performing Pursoon, otherwise he's going to be in trouble. We continue. Now he goes through the fast left-hander of Pruon into the Fanya chicane. Is he going to ride those inside curves? He does with full commitment, not invalidating, but so close to track limits on the exit, keeping it nice and cautious. Once again, on the curbs, everything he's got. Purple sector, half a second up on his current time. It's going to put him well into the 40s, but he still needs to find another 2 tenths if he wants to challenge for pole position right here. 2 tenths more, and he might have a go at getting that first place. But really, around this circuit, you want to be in P2 anyway. We'll see how it goes, though. Final few corners, very difficult to get through with all the bumps. DRS open for the final time. What's it going to be for the Alfa Romeo driver? It's going to be a 40.7. What a lap to try and come back at. What a final sector to try and put in there to go and challenge for pole. It's not going to be enough for Zingy either. 2 tenths improvement, but he's almost an entire second off Pursoon right there. That's absolutely crazy. On board with Tyus Korsman now, as he's going to improve by just over half a tenth right there, dominating the field as he continues. That's going to be Tom Brainer in the pit lane. Nobody else will be setting any more laps. Tyus Korsman setting the final lap, and he didn't even need to. That is a lovely pole position. He's got Pursoon right behind him. Pursoon's going to be in a strong position as they go up the hill. It's just whether those wet conditions that might plague us, will it be something that he can combat, or is it something that Korsman will be able to get on top of? Maybe Zingy will get a good start in the wet conditions. That is always a possibility, and a very good chance of that happening. Right, we're just going to have to quickly try and invite... We'll go back into the lobby if we can. I apologise for the delay. And then we'll be back to the results quickly. Lovely stuff. Get those results on the screen. And then we'll see what it's going to be like for the start of the race very shortly. Tyus Korsman takes pole position, Pursoon in P2, then Zingy in P3. That's the rest of the grid. And we'll skim through the race director just in case. And we'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Ready, hold. Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We're away. Tyres Korsman has the inside line. Pursoon is going to have a very good advantage. Can he get a switchback, or is he going to be blocked by the AlphaTauri? The AlphaTauri's on the inside. He's going to lead. Zingy into P1. Pursoon's trying to get through, but it's not going to be possible. He's going to have to settle for P3. What a start from the Scotsman. Absolutely incredible stuff. Zingy, will he be able to hold on? Will it last for long, though? Tyres Korsman is going to come through. Pursoon, is he going to try and jump into P1 as well? He will follow Korsman through. He's going to be boxed in. That is very well played there for Korsman, but Zingy still trying to get back through, and he's managed to get it done. That's Nabil getting a lovely switchback, swooping around the outside. There's very little contact as he pushes the limits, and he's got the job done. Absolutely incredible from Nabil there. What a dreadful start for Pursoon. What a great start. Launch off the line at least for Zingy. He's just lost out to the lead. Exactly what Korsman needed, really, as he wanted to get to P2, get that slipstream up the hill. We've got Nifo having a look at Pursoon as well, trying to take more out of this man. This is exactly what Zingy needs him to do. The championship's teammate, the championship rivals teammate, is working wonders. Pursoon now to P5 after a very poor start. Does he have damage? I don't quite know. He's just not able to cope with the conditions right now. Crazy stuff. Losing the car on the rear. This is not like Pursoon. Tom Brainer is now going to be catching up, and Pursoon is still struggling. Even down the straight, just losing the traction. These guys behind having issues off the start. That is going to be a front wing loss. That could be a safety car there, as that is Robbo having an issue. Miguel cannot join yet, unfortunately. We'll have to try and get him in a moment's time. But, yeah, that is a big shame. Unfortunately, Miguel is not going to be here. That is going to be Korsman leading the way. 3/10 behind is Zingy. So it looks like it's going to be a duel for the lead for those two. Nabil not too far away after lap 2. Nifojan is right behind him, looking to make it an AlphaTauri double podium. If he can, that would be absolutely incredible for the team to extend their championship lead if it wasn't big enough already. Now up the hill they go. Is Zingy going to look for that move already? He uses a bit of the ERS, but Korsman doesn't let that happen. That's going to be Nifojan taking it to the inside line and sending it on the brakes. Is he going to get it done? Goes so deep into the corner. That's Nabil looking for the switchback. Is he going to have a chance? No, not quite. That was perfectly spotted there from Nifo. Perfectly settled as he went into the final corner to open up the next one and make sure he gets that good run. And he's got it done. Twitching all over the place, but not quite losing the car. So on the limit as well with Zingy as he's trying to get right up behind Korsman, putting that pressure on. It seems to be working, and Zingy can't do anything about it. That is going to be Nifo catching up a fair bit. That's a yellow for PJ. It's side by side between these two. Crucial stuff. Korsman is not going to be liking this. He can't do anything about it. Zingy sends it to the inside, but it's a virtual safety car, and Korsman just about got in front. Nifojan catches up a lot, but he's not going to be able to be involved in the battle just yet. Nabil second behind, and Pursoon 3 seconds away, 2 seconds away more or less. I think that maybe is just a bit of a bug with the virtual safety car. Tom Brainer not too far away from the Alfa Romeo driver. All a little bit chaotic, unfortunately. Not really entirely sure what's going on. We're going to quickly see if we can sort something out whilst this is happening. And then we'll be back in a little second. We will be back immediately. There you go. All right. Still under the yellows. And we'll look at the tyre situation, even though we don't really need to. It is all full wets from everyone right now. There are no questions about it. 2 pit stops from Robbo and PJ, who have both had damage at this stage of the race. They're hoping for a full safety car to get them back into the Grand Prix. But unfortunately, it's not quite gone their way. Zingy is now got the green flag to now have another attempt at looking to push past Korsman. He's catching a lot on the straight, but then caps out. Korsman holds on, and that is it. Nothing he can do. Perfect restart there for Nabil, and not a great one for Nifojan, as these two break away and Nabil gets back up to the rear end of that AlphaTauri, losing the car a little bit, so that gap's all of a sudden just been lost immediately. Not exactly what he wants. Bassoon is going to be able to take advantage of that one. That's Zingy looking for the lead of the Grand Prix, and he's in the lead of the Grand Prix. Korsman could not find a way to hold him on any longer. The virtual safety car was a short grace period, but other than that, it's over. Zingy now P1, and Nippo is still catching this man. It could be an AlphaTauri 1-2 if they're not careful. Nabil, he's not able to catch up for now, but still all eyes on this man. Has he caught up to the pace? Has he managed to find his mojo again as he's drifting over the curbs, just struggling massively in the wet conditions? It's just not what he wanted. He's still continuing to lose the car, and Tom Brainer is going to have a phenomenal run down the straight. He might be able to get close enough to maybe have a look at a move on that final, or on the main straight, I should say. We're going to have a quick look at sorting that out, getting that off our screen. Korsman, he sees Zingy in front. He sees Zingy making a big mistake, going incredibly deep into the corner. Still somehow getting it rotated. Nifojan, however, is more of a worry for him, as that is a purple lap right there from the Scotsman. And the Dutchman is now going to be challenged by the other Dutchman, who is catching up massively, using the brakes to rotate that car. He is very close. He can see that they're right there, 7/10 behind. It is only getting smaller. This is phenomenal stuff from him. That's Tom Brainer losing the car and losing the position to JJ. 6 seconds he's just lost to Bassoon now, more or less 5 seconds, I should say. So I don't know what happened to him, but he does have a full front wing still. That is another yellow flag for PJ, but I don't think it's going to be any more than that. So we will be able to continue on our merry way without any safety cars. I do apologise for the issues. This man, 1.5 seconds, continues to break away. 4/10 has been gained, 5/6 really, from Korsman on Niffo. And not exactly what Niffo wants, but it is a long old race. He just needs to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes, and he might be able to catch up later and make this a good result. He's got that pace. He just needs to make sure that he keeps it together in order to back it up. And he's in a good position for this Grand Prix. Bassoon is slowly catching up relative to Nabil. It's just whether he's going to be able to catch up to the likes of Zingy and Floor, where he really needs to be. Wherever Zingy is, he needs to be a few positions in front. Exactly what he needed to do in Jeddah, exactly what he needed to do in Silverstone, but not what he needs to do right now here in Belgium. He's got a lot of ERS to use, so he's going to use that down the straight and make sure he puts that pressure on the Ferrari. That's a 4-second gap, more or less, that he's got between himself and Niffo, and that is a 6-second gap, more or less, that he's got between himself and his championship rival. Catching up a massive amount and then all of a sudden losing a load as he is struggling on the exit. It's really tough at the moment. We go back to this battle though. He once again closes in that final sector, and we get to the main straight to see what's going on. Is there anything that we can be interested by? I think it is just that Korsman is incredibly strong in a straight line. Niffo can't do anything about it, so he has to try and save a little bit here. And that is another yellow, unfortunately, for PJ. A big moment there for Nifojan, but he keeps the car together. That is Bassoon, 1.8 seconds now. So that gap is fluctuating. Many moments for many drivers. The gaps are fluctuating. This is the closest battle that we have on circuit right now. Tom Brainer and JJ 3/10 behind. Tom Brainer, of course, losing that position a couple of laps ago. He's now caught back to that Mercedes driver, but if you want to make a move, you have to get right up and close behind them, otherwise you are not going to be able to pass the car in front. It's not as simple as making a move on DRS, because there isn't DRS. It's not as simple as making a move under the brakes, because you'll lock up incredibly easy. You have to really think about it and push hard, get close, and only then or they have an opportunity to get in front. Unless they try and outclass a strategy, we'll see. We'll find out very shortly on what these guys are going to be looking at strategy-wise, of course. It might be that they go early for another set of full wets, or they go very, very late to a set of inters to try and, I don't know, get an overcut, or maybe go to the inters as early as possible. Talking about pit stops, Zingy is going to take it to the pit lane. This could be the inters call. Nifo doesn't follow on. He can't follow on because otherwise he would have been held up massively. And it is going to be Korsman also following. Nabil stays out to follow Nifojan. It's going to be the inters for this man. He will happily take that, I'm sure. And then he's going to have to be held up. He's going to lose the lead to Korsman, surely. No, he didn't. He was held up a little bit. I don't know exactly why he was held up. Pursuing 8 seconds in front right now. We'll see. Look at that gap. It's going to be 8.2 as he, of course, gets the tyres warmed up and continues to gain with the amount of speed that he would have gained on the straight. It kind of equalises out now, and then we'll find out in a moment's time. 8.2 seconds by the time we reach the end of the straight, and now we're going to get to the corners. This should be where the intermediate tyres start to come alive. 7.9, I'm going to skip from that, and you can see the amount of time that's being gained. You can see Korsman has absolutely powered past the wet tyre runner of Tom Brainer on the exit. He just has the traction, he has the rotation. More importantly, it's an easy question to say, should I go for the inters? Yes, you definitely should. And we'll see Nifojan, I'm sure, very shortly heading into the pit lane. We'll see Zingy catching up quite possibly to Nifojan, Pursoon and Nabil. If they're not careful. He is only a corner away effectively, so the strategy from this man has played into his hands incredibly nicely. Pursoon not quite able to do as good of a job. 3.9 seconds. Pursoon is so close to the back of Nabil. Nabil losing the car on exit of Blanchimont, and they're now going to look to go side by side, but if he wants to go to the pit lane, he's not going to be able to do that. Both drivers going to the pit lane, just about making it in. Absolutely crazy stuff. Zingy was not able to make the move on track in the end. They continue, and that is going to be Pursoon following as close as he can to the back of that Ferrari, hoping he can jump him in the pit lane. Very unlikely to do so, though. In the F1 game, inters are on. There's the Ferrari going by. He just misses out on getting on front. They are so close together, though, that is for sure. There you go. There is going to be the Ferrari just ahead of the Alfa Romeo. The two Italian teams, they continue on the pit lane exit, and they'll be fighting pretty hard. Zingy 2.9 seconds in front, and that is a 6-second advantage that Korsman has just gained by pitting one lap earlier. And the question is, will these guys try and go all the way to the end of the Grand Prix? Are they going to all try and make this the only thing that they're going to do? Or are they going to try and maybe go for a fresher set later on? I reckon on lap 7 or 6-ish where they pitted, they are going to have to go again. It's a long old lap. There's high speed loads being put onto the tyres. The rears might be okay, but you're doing a lot of left hands around this circuit, and yeah, the speed that the load that you'll be putting on the tyres over time will definitely come into play. That being said, some very high speed corners around the circuit are right-handers, so it could be even. That being said, it's just going to be terrible for the tyres either way. Tom Brainer gets a time penalty. That's going to be a yellow. It's going to be a full safety car. We'll have a quick look to see what's happened there. That's going to be PJ of no front wing. He stays in the race, might be able to unlap himself. Although, that being said, Korsman and Zingy have both pitted recently, so they probably won't actually go into the pit lane. That's going to allow Pursoon to catch up to his championship rival again. I think, unfortunately, for PJ's sake, he's going to continue to be lapped. That being said, Zingy and Korsman are both going into the pit lane as well. In reality, PJ should have continued there and done a lap without a front wing to then get a repair, but unfortunately he hasn't done that, so he will continue to be a lap down. And it's going to be very unlikely for him to unlap himself. Nifojan is going to lead the Grand Prix on virtually fresh tyres. Very interesting strategies from Zingy and Korsman. I assume that they were maybe hoping that they would be good to go. That is incredible. Zingy didn't get the lead. Was that maybe Nifo slowing down, or was that genuinely him just not being able to get there in time by the time, of course, that is a big problem there for PJ as he loses the car, and it doesn't matter if he's going to unlap himself or not because he is out of the Grand Prix. On the exit of the pit lane, just wasn't able to keep it in a straight line, and unfortunately it is game over for the Alpine driver in today's Grand Prix. Anyway, as I was saying, I think maybe Nifo's slowed down. If he didn't, he just didn't quite get there. The inside line for the pit lane was giving Zingy a bit of an advantage, so that's always going to help, of course. But regardless, it now puts a car in between himself and Thijs Koortsman, who so far this Grand Prix has been his closest rival in this race. It now puts 3 cars in between himself and his championship rival Pursoon in 5th place. Robbo at the back of the pack at the moment. Former winner around this circuit, I believe, in F1.5. Just trying to get that good data in, and he's going to be able to catch back up after his difficult start. Miguel, of course, having those connection issues, so we'll have to try and see him next weekend, if we can do, for the race. And then we've got JJ, who is sitting in P7 at the moment. He will get another opportunity to catch up. Tom Brainer, the only car with a time penalty to his name. It's not exactly ideal, but it's very difficult around this circuit to hold on to track limits. So I reckon we'll see a few more people getting a couple of those, especially in wet conditions. He doesn't need to worry too much about that. Then we go to the front runners so far this Grand Prix. Soon just needs to try and dial in. Maybe the intermediate tyre will work better for him rather than the wet tyre. That's very possible. He's on the fresher compound, as you see, compared to the likes of Nifo and the Bill. So he will be on exactly the same tyre as Korsman and Zingy. That will give them a bit of an advantage later on. Still a question whether we'll need to be going into the pit lane for some fresh inters or not. I think it's definitely going to be on the cards. Just a set of fresh inters compared to really old inters, although they can go a long way, these tyres. I think it would just be a huge advantage around a long circuit, having that extra grip, being able to carry so much more speed through a corner will definitely help massively. And yeah, we'll see. But hopefully for Pursoon's sake, this intermediate tyre is more suitable for him. That wet tyre, of course, is very difficult in any regard, so I don't blame him at all. It's just relative to the other cars, he was struggling a lot more. Now, the inters are a lot more enjoyable to drive in wet conditions, and I think he should have a good chance with this tyre on the green wall tyre. Not exactly the favourite conditions to drive in. I'm sure they would rather be on soft tyres with no tyre wear, with minimal fuel, and all the grip in the world, but it's not quite possible. In certain scenarios, when you go league racing, you've got to deal with the conditions as given, and whoever is the best in the moment gets that victory. Very unfortunate, PJ, I do apologise. That is, yeah, not great. Maybe we'll be able to figure out what's going on later on. It might be some file thing if you keep having these issues. That's the safety car in. We're looking to go racing again on lap 10 out of 22. Just shy of under halfway throughout this Grand Prix now. It's going to be Nifojan reacting to Zingy. These two are communicating. And Horseman has got a bit of a job to be able to react to both of these guys. When will he go for it? That is the safety car in. That is Zingy going for it. And Nifo did not react well. That's not good news for Nifojan. That is brilliant news for Zingy because he's got a 1.1 second gap between himself and Korsman. Korsman can't go for a move until he gets to the start-finish line. So he has to wait in order to make that move. And yeah, absolutely tragic there for the Aston Martin. Of course, Zingy had that gap before already, so it doesn't make too much of a difference compared to what we had before the safety car. But yeah, that's exactly what he needed to do, and now he doesn't have any pressure from the Aston Martin. Pursoon can't quite find a way yet. And we'll have to look at this battle though. Once again, up the hill, all the confidence in the world, basically pushing him up the hill is Korsman, using the energy, and I think that is going to be Nifo pretty much done for that position. The question is, will Nabil be able to catch up and make that move as well? I don't think he will. They come into shot. He's just going to have to slot in behind and stay there for now. But that is an epic move there for Korsman. But it's also a 2-second gap for Korsman that he's got to try and work with, which is going to be incredibly difficult. On the same tyre, however, so it might be alright. Pursoon not able to get past this red Ferrari super wide. Just hasn't been able to find an opportunity this entire race since he dropped back. Now, will he be able to get through on this Inters? Once they're fired up, it might be possible. There is our second and third time penalty of the race. That is Nabil, that is Robbo getting those penalties at this stage of the Grand Prix, the mid-stage, exactly as expected. Now, that's Pursoon making a big mistake. He's going to come back across the circuit. I don't think he got a time penalty for that, or a track limit, I should say. Using the energy, looking to make a move, looking to try and plan it out so he gets a nice run out of Launchemont. Is it going to work? Back on the ERS to the outside line as the Ferrari goes defensive. It's so close into the braking zone. He doesn't trust it. He's going to have to hold on. The Ferrari, trying to defend, has compromised their exit, and now they run up to the line. Pursoon is going to edge in front into the braking zone once again. What's he going to do? He's going to try and make it side by side. He will leave the space, Nabil, but Pursoon will not get the exit, and that is going to be Nabil holding on yet again, trying his best to maintain that P4. Brilliant points for him right now, but I think it's going to be inevitable. Pursoon has the slipstream, he has the tow. He's going to have to tuck in again and try and catch up a little bit later on at the straight. It's going to be a tough battle into the braking zone. In side by side they go, so close to contact, but absolutely perfect, and that is going to be Pursoon on lap 11 getting through, and now he's looking for that podium. Can he find a way? Can he find that extra pace to get to the front runners? Now he's in clean air and unleashed. Phenomenal defending there for Nabil. Tom Brainer is very hungry for a move as well. 5/10. Nifojan is very strong and looking to try and have a go on this Aston Martin within the next few laps if he can. 1.9 seconds. Zingy is maintaining the gap but not breaking away. Lap 11 out of 22. Halfway mark now is being reached of the Grand Prix. It will be reached on the next lap. We will start the halfway mark. .8 seconds is this man away from 2.3 seconds, I should say, away from the cars in front. He's going to be wanting to get involved and hoping that the cars in front do fight. But 1.4 seconds is the gap that Taz Korsman has brought down to Zingy. His straight line speed is unbeatable at this Grand Prix right now. Pursoon sliding all over the place on exit, but keeping the car in a straight line and ultimately maintaining their position. They don't exactly gain any time though on the cars ahead by doing so. Tom Brainer 5/10 behind. Will he be able to get a good run? This is for P5, 10 points on the board, both time penalties available to them. JJ would get the move if they stay as they are, but losing the car up Eau Rouge as he was using the energy very early on, and it doesn't help him in the long run as Nabil is able to hold on for longer. And is he trying to save fuel there? That was an incredibly early lift there for Tom Brainer. Might have been trying to save a bit of fuel, maybe just got it wrung on the underfuel, or maybe burnt a bit too much under the safety car and is having doubts of his decisions. 1.2 seconds. Horseman's picked it up and he's broken away. That is, of course, picking up Zingy and breaking away from Nifojan. Bassoon is trying to get back that time that he's lost on Nifo on that last corner as they exited the bus stop chicane, of course. Now, Zingy, is he going to be in trouble? He's still got just under half of the race to go now. And if he drops off at this stage, he's going to be in trouble. He is very good at reading the conditions. He's very good at reading what tyre to be on. He might be the one to go for an undercut. But that being said, Korsman, he will also have the ability to react to the Zingatron. Is it going to work? I don't know. Now, if he reacts and pits at exactly the same time as Korsman, as Zingy, he might not gain an advantage that he's looking for. If he doesn't pit, and Zingy does, then he's probably going to lose out because those inters are going to be absolutely incredible. If he pits before, then he might be good, but maybe Zingy will try and stay out. It's all a little bit of an unknown at this stage of the Grand Prix. We've been on these tyres since, lap 7? Of the race, if I'm correct in saying so. We could still be going for at least another 3 laps and then going for one more pit stop to go to the end of the Grand Prix. It's very, very possible. If you want to go for that undercut, it could work very well. We could see a few people going for that. That is Pursuit catching up massively to Nifojan as we pan away and then come back immediately now. You can see that's just losing it on the exit slightly, but Pursuit ultimately right now in the last couple of laps has been the quicker car. That is maybe, if they're just making a mistake or two here and there, he can still see the cars in front though, and who can see the car right in front of them is Korsman, who is gaining back the time that he had lost earlier on. These guys are pushing each other. I say that, they do have a lot of energy to use, but around a wet circuit you don't really want to be using energy all the time as much as you would in the dry conditions, of course, because you'll just lose the car if you're not careful. You want to use it on the straights to gain some extra time and fight against the drag from the higher downforce that you've put onto the car to cope with the corners. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. 5 tenths, 4 tenths, gaining massively on the straights. He's incredible. Now Zingy should be able to gain in the corners right here. We'll see how it goes. No DRS, of course, but on the exit, the Scotsman has the advantage. By the time we get to the end of the straight, Korsman finds the pace. Now, it might even be an opportunity here for Korsman to make that move. He's using the energy already. He does want to get the job done. He gains massively. He's going to gain a lot as we go for Eau Rouge. He doesn't gain enough to make contact. He's absolutely perfected that one. He swoops through. He's going to lead, and Zingy will not be able to say anything about it. Thijs Korsman leads the Belgian Grand Prix. Zingy, he's got to go for some sort of strategy, surely. There's no way that he's going to be able to get back through. That car, now in front, has track position and straight line speed. You can't gain anything if you tuck him behind. You're not going to be able to gain much at all because of the track position. That is Zingy's opportunity. That is Zingy's call to go into the pit lane, to get that undercut. Will he go for it this lap? Will he go for it next lap? That is a big gain there from Zingy in the corners. We saw this earlier on in the Grand Prix. He was gaining massively compared to Korsman as Korsman's really struggled. But now, you watch as we'll go through the next couple of corners. He still continues in that Aston Martin to go all over the place. But he hits this point of the circuit and he'll break away. There'll be no questions asked. And he will continue to lead for another lap. If Zingy was able to send it in the brakes, I don't know what to say. but it would be virtually impossible to do so from this far back. Sounds ridiculous to say, but these guys are just going so fast in these wet conditions. DRS enabled. The dry conditions are coming in. Will we see anybody go into the pit lane? Would we see some of the guys further behind go into the pit lane? We will see Nabil make that call. Will this be a possibility to win the Grand Prix? Everybody further behind has gone for the gamble. Tom Brainer and company have all just carried on. The circuit is still very, very wet at this stage. It might dry up though by the time they get to the end of the lap, as it is such a long lap. I don't know if that was the right call from Zingy. I have to say though, he doesn't really want to focus at winning the Grand Prix. He wants to focus on beating his championship rival, who in the meantime has just bumped himself up to third place as he gets Jan on the straight. He's done it. Now, will he be able to hunt down the Scotsman? 5 seconds away. Let's watch that gap, see if it does change at all or not. Korsman, he's going to make the call to go into the pit lane this lap, and you can see the track is drying up significantly. There's going to be no question about it. We're going to go into the pit lane for some fresh tyres. There will be a question on what tyre we'll go for, which will be a soft or a medium. As you can see, Robbo JJ both going for that soft tyre. Medium is for Nabil, however. Will he be able to make it work? I think I know what these guys are going to go for tyre-wise. I do think I know what's going to happen, and it's going to be a very, very interesting fight for sure. It should be a pretty straightforward call of what to go for. The ERS is being used. Zingy wants to try and get ahead into the pit stops, but he's realised that's not going to be possible. To save the ERS maybe and go another time. That is going to be the pit lane entered for these guys. Nifo will be able to get a double stack, so he doesn't need to continue. He's got a big enough gap to be able to do so. We will check on board with him very shortly to see if we can find out. But Zingy, tyre Korsman, medium tyres, no questions about it. Korsman softs, I thought that might happen. Zingy does go softs as well. Why is Zingy going softs? I thought it'd go for the mediums. Pursoon going for the mediums. Nifojan loses a little bit, but not that much regarding the situation. Don't think he can be too disappointed with that one. Now he's got that soft tyre, and he could be able to make this work. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, and these softs will be good to go. In theory, they should be good to go, but it's a long old lap, and they will get hot. And they will wear down. I think that medium tyre is going to be superior as we get to the final stages. It might just be 2 laps could be enough for Pursoon to be able to catch up and maybe go for that lead, but 6 seconds and it's only going to continue to extend. It's a cold circuit as well, a very, very cold circuit right now as it's just finished raining. It will continue to warm up as these guys continue to drive. That is Zingy in the mirrors. I didn't even realise he really wants to get that move done on Tom Brainer before Korsman does, but I don't think it's going to happen. Korsman is right there. Tom Brainer getting another penalty as he really struggles, but he's not going to get the move done before the corner. He's going to slow down massively. Zingy wants to try and have a go. Is he going to be able to read it well? He switches to the inside line. That's so close between the two. Zingy slots in. That is going to be Horseman ahead. DRS will not be available. He has the ERS advantage as well. Zingy can't let him relax though. DRS will be available as we go down the Kemmel Straight in a few corners time, and it will be all to play for, and very possible that Zingy can make that move when he opens the rear wing, of course, on that AlphaTauri. And now Tom Brainer continuing to stay out on this intermediate time, not entirely sure what his plans are. Pursoon is catching, I say that, he's kind of almost maintaining the gap, but only losing a small amount. DRS available for Zingy. DRS not so much. And he's just going to sit behind. Bit of energy was used there for Korsman to be able to maintain that gap. Now the question is, will Zingy be able to hold on in the corners and maintain DRS to give him a fighting chance later on in this Grand Prix, and maybe be able to get enough energy to be able to compete when it gets to the straights. That is going to be Nifojan getting himself a time penalty at the later stages of the Grand Prix. A 3-second to his name. Not exactly what he wants. That soft tyre doesn't seem to be working. Pursoon also getting a 3-second. I was just going to say this medium could be the way to go. I think it very much could be, but he is struggling on track limits as well. Everyone seems to be. That is going to be Tom Brainer mid-corner. That is going to be Pursoon having to look for a switch back, as he will get the exit on the intermediate tyre runner. As the intermediate tyre runner doesn't fight, he just continues on his merry way. And he's, not doing anything illegal necessarily. It's just a very interesting strategy, that is for sure. Not entirely understanding what the plan is. He will not lose that much time down the straight, and by the time it gets to Nifo's turn to overtake Tom Brainer, he's probably going to be in the pit lane, I'm not going to lie. He will go into the pit lane eventually. Finally, he was struggling, but he is now going to be able to get that fresh tyre on, as he should be. He's closer than ever. He's going to go up the hill. He doesn't have the energy available, but he will have the DRS. Is it going to be enough, or is it just going to be a plan to try and drain Korsman's battery? He does gain a little bit as we get to the later stages of the straight, but Korsman pushed early on with the battery to make sure that there were no questions, and he will continue. But will it be for long? Zingy is strong in those corners. It's going to be very good indeed. 8.3 seconds. The top two are in a DRS train, and they do have to fight for track position when it comes to the final stages of the Grand Prix, so they might slow each other down. 2.6 seconds lost from the pit stops after Pursoon was on that medium tyre, of course. We'll get to the next 2-3 laps maybe, and then Pursoon should be able to catch up. I think maybe it would have been nice if he could have pitted a lap earlier, but obviously regarding what was going on, he didn't exactly have a choice to do so. But yeah, that medium tyre, I reckon it can still work at this stage of the Grand Prix. We'll have to find out. Nifo, P4. Robbo is catching up. He's got JJ for company. They're 1.4 seconds behind at the moment. Not far away from Nifojan, and ERS isn't necessarily being used, but it's definitely working for Robbo's sake, because he's getting that kind of straight line advantage. The rain's kicked in again. I was very confused there, just stumbling over my words, but that's incredible. The DRS is back up and running, but there is rain back up and running. So it's going to be about who can hold on the slick tyres. I don't think we're going to be going back to an inter tyre unless somebody's going to take that risk. Maybe that's what Tom Brainer was trying to do. He was trying to stay on the inters and hope that the tyre would be maybe good enough to continue. That is going to be Robbo making that move. Must be driving a dry setup in this Grand Prix. There's no question. Surely he's doing that. He can't compete in the corners. He just has no cornering speed, but the straight line speed advantage is right there. Swooping around the outside is Nifojan. I think it's going to be a pretty easy move. Absolutely incredible. And I think he's doing everything that he should be. That is a move to try and stay ahead for these wet conditions. He's going to pull all the G's as he goes through Pouon, and he's going to have all the confidence, even with these wet conditions still kind of plaguing the Grand Prix. He's going to be able to break away again. I assume Robbo might have another opportunity to make a move again as we go down the back straight, but this could be it for Nifo to be able to break away. He's gained a bit more time than he did before. That is about 3/10 more than he had for when Robbo made that move. They are going into the pit lane. Will Pursoon stay out, or is he going to go into the pits as well? He's going to stay out. He is going to stay out and try at his best to make something work different on the strategy. I don't know if that's going to work. Will Nifo go into the pit lane? That's the question. He will. So he's looking to try and go for the I'd argue, safer strategy, although it's a little bit bold. Robbo's going to stay out as well. Korsman and Zingy, they're not going to lose the position to Robbo. You can see how wet that circuit is already. I don't think it's worked out. Pursoon tried his absolute best. 7.3 seconds is the gap. He's going to gain massively on the straight, but I don't know how long this lead is going to last. He's hoping for a safety car. He's hoping for the other two to crash, maybe. It's going to be so difficult. From a race that was really tough from the beginning, it's not got any better for this man. He's had everything thrown at him to try and stop him from catching to Zingy. And 7 seconds now, they are closing that gap. However, Zingy is very, very close to the back of that Aston Martin. And yeah, he's pushing hard in those corners. It's his advantage. He's looking good. He is looking very good. Just needs to make sure he avoids a time penalty. If these guys fight, they might get involved in an incident. Pursoon is hoping that will happen. Not to be wishing ill thoughts against his rivals, but to try and help him in the championship, to try and help him in this race more importantly. He will get to the pit lane before these guys catch up, I'm sure, but it will be an intermediate tyre for him. Now Zingy is going to try and go for the move as we get to the final corner, or is he going to try and maybe wait? I'm not entirely sure. He is going to stay behind for now. Not going to lie, I don't think he had a choice. He was using the battery all the way down the hill as he had 0% on his name. It just wasn't working. Pursoon stays out. He's in disbelief. He's hoping that this is going to be his best chance at getting the points that he needs. He doesn't want to lose out to Nifojan, who is still behind some of the other slick tyre runners. Tom Brainerd, Bill and Robbo are all staying out to try and continue. That is Robbo and the Bill going into the pit lane, however, so Nifo will be able to immediately get in front of those guys. And Pursoon will lose out if he's not careful. We watch on see Korsman up in front, gaining on Zingy. He's now going to have to try and pass Pursoon. Pursoon is all over the place. He can't quite make it work. It's going to be Zingy swooping into the lead of the Grand Prix. What a move. That was absolutely incredibly red from the Scotsman. We're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix, by the way. This could be everything. This could be exactly what it needed. And Pursoon was hoping exactly that wouldn't happen. He was hoping he could let Korsman go and not let Zingy go, but instead he did exactly what he shouldn't have done. And now his championship rival has only got it maybe another opportunity to win this Grand Prix. 21 seconds, 20 seconds. Pursoon is hoping that he holds on to be able to finish in front of Nifojan. That is what he is looking for right now. But is it going to be enough? He's got a lap and a sector to go on these tyres in order to try and hold on. I don't know if that's going to be possible. Korsman, he's going to be furious with that move right there. It wasn't really anyone's fault. It was very unfortunate. He tried to make it work. Look at the straight line speed. He used a lot of battery to get that done, but he's not going to compete against the AlphaTauri in the corners. That was an absolutely crucial move there for Zingy. He holds on for now. He knows that if he's in behind, he doesn't have a chance, even if the car behind will get a slipstream down the main straight. For the final time, it's better to be ahead than it is to be behind. He nails the exit. He's going to be full commitment up Eau Rouge, but look at the speed that Korsman gains, and it's going to be game over. Korsman leads once again, and more importantly, leads on the final lap of the Grand Prix. 10 seconds Nifo has gained in a bit over a sector. And I think it is going to be Nifo's move. We'll have to check on that a little bit later on in the Grand Prix. However, Zingy looking left and right, can't quite find a way, going all the way off the circuit, almost losing the car to try and get past the Aston Martin. He knows that he's going to try and get the move done before Launchimont, otherwise he's not going to have track position. There's going to be no questions asked otherwise. It worked for him the lap before. He has an opportunity, but it's not quite red early enough, and he had to back off to avoid contact. So he will end up sitting behind Korsman after all, it's not going to work out. A very good effort. I don't think he's going to have a go in the braking zone, though. I think it's going to stay as it is. He is so close. ERS is being used, but there goes the Aston Martin into the distance. This should be a pretty easy move for him. It's going to look like the victory. We're going to have to look at this, though. This is the battle for the final spot on the podium. Pursoon can't keep the car on the circuit. Nippo's going to make the move. He's held on as best as he could. He's going to lose the car on the final lap. Lose the front wing. JJ swoops through. Robbo might be able to get a move. What a tragic move there for him. Korsman wins. The Belgian Grand Prix wasn't an easy one. Zingy P2 after a very good fight and making it an AlphaTauri double podium. That is going to be brilliant for Nifo-Jan, and JJ will sit in P4 in the end. A brilliant result for him after a very, very tough start to the Grand Prix. Pursoon will hold on to that P5 after all of that on slick tyres, I should say. And then we've got Robbo in P6, just about pipping Nabil over the line, both having those time penalties. Tom Brainer trying to make these slick tyres work as well, as Pursoon did, even pitting onto those slick tyres later on in the Grand Prix, which he maybe, if he just stayed out a little bit more, he might have been okay, drifting through the high-speed corner, and then Miguel, of course, disconnecting earlier on. But that is Korsman winning yet again. Zingy continues to extend his championship lead over Pursoon, but he's not won a race in a while. Alrighty, Korsman wins the Belgian Grand Prix. A phenomenal job indeed from him. Very well deserved. We'll get the results on your screen in a moment's time. Korsman wins Zingy in P2, then Nifo-Jan in P3. We've got JJ, Pursoon, Robbo, Nabil, Tom Brainer, Miguel Flexo disconnecting from the race early on and retiring earlier was PJ, unfortunately, due to a few issues. He could not really cope with the car. It was not his fault at all. Instant section, as we always need it, just in case. And then we'll go through the pit stops for the final, just a little bit of data that we need. And we'll be back for the post-race interviews. We'll see you in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Belgian Grand Prix. That was a bit of a nuts one. Robbo, very close at the end on the line. Were you running a dry setup by any chance? You were pretty rapid in a straight line.
Yeah, I wasn't running any setup actually. With joining late and then the AI retiring me from quali, it set me to the default setup. So I had to make the changes that I did that are possible with Parc Ferme. But it was quite annoying with trying to use this as practice for tomorrow's race and then not having the actual setup. So the first few laps, I felt like I was driving a different car. As I've done quite a bit of practice for tomorrow, considering Spa is probably one of my weakest tracks. But considering all that, I don't think the pace was that bad. It was definitely good practice for the wet. I must say, I hope it to be dry tomorrow. But yeah, it was pretty rapid on the straights, slow in the corners, which was good for defending against JJ once it went dry, but overall just a bit of an annoyance, and you definitely didn't see my true pace, so we'll see that tomorrow.
For sure. Do you feel confident tomorrow? And regarding time penalties, how do you think that's going to play out? Do you think it'll be an advantage to you or not easy to deal with?
In the past, it's never really been an advantage to me. Like, I lost the championship to, P2 a few seasons ago to Gilly, who was, when I was getting time penalties, he got none and got good positions. So I think I've done quite a lot of practice for the race tomorrow, considering I only got a 3-second time penalty in the wet and I had no setup. I think we'll be looking good on that front, and I'm feeling pretty confident going into tomorrow's race.
Awesome. Good luck. I hope it goes well for you there. Japan, the next circuit, do you like that one? Is it a circuit that flows well with you? One DRS straight, though?
Yeah. I'd say as a driver, I never really have had to rely on DRS that much. And Suzuka's quite a good track for overtaking, even without that. Without many DRS straights, in my opinion, for me anyways. So, yeah, I'm feeling good for that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And well done today. Great effort and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
And we move on to Tyler Schwartzman, your race winner for today. Very well done, mate. That was a little bit of a nuts situation with the setup. Do you think it was... Well, I know what you're going to say yes. Do you think it was the best idea to go for that straight line speed setup, or did you think maybe it would have been an easier job if you'd had a bit more downforce in that car?
I think maybe a bit more downforce would have been handy, but I think all in all it was preferable over what Simi had. I expected it to not be full wet for very long because that's obviously where it's weak. You saw that. But when inters come around, and especially on the dry, a low downforce setup like that just works better. I mean, the moment you're in front, it's very hard to get overtaken. I mean, even in full wet, it was pretty hard to get overtaken. But unfortunately, I made a big mistake, and that kind of screwed me over for that stint. But all in all, I think low downforce was a good choice.
Did you expect the dry weather to kick in, or was it not something that was actually stated on the kind of strategy screen, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, the strategy screen thing is always pretty unreliable. But I did expect it to become dry at some point. I just didn't know when and for how long.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well done. You've done it again. Very well deserved. And yeah, that's Belgium complete. Japan, it's a difficult circuit. Do you like that one over Belgium?
Yeah, I think Japan is a great track. Sector 1 feels great to drive. There's a lot of skill involved in Sector 2 with the hairpin and stuff.
And most of the skill in Sector 3 at the final chicane.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. There's a lot of time to gain in the chicane, but I like how there's an overtake opportunity in sector 3 with no DRS needed. I think it's a great track to race on and to drive as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Really well done today. Very well deserved. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
We move on to Tom Brainer. Tom, that was tough. Trying to stay out on the slick tyres, or no, sorry, the inters for a while. Were you hoping that you didn't have to get back on to a slick tyre than to go back onto an inter?
Yeah, my strategy at the end was to try going on the inters as long as possible, because my engineer said while it was still wet and no DRS, that the rain will start in 5 minutes again.
Right.
So like 2-3 laps. Yeah, it delayed a bit, like 5-6 laps, and so I had to go for the slick tire eventually, because my front tires were like 80%. And I was really unlucky that in the lap I pitted, the rain started again. So yeah, that was pretty unlucky, but I would say my pace overall was really good compared to the other drivers. I felt pretty comfortable in the wet condition and also with the inters. So I think if it's gonna rain tomorrow, I have a good chance.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, at the start of the race, you were right there. So, yeah, I'd agree with that. Do you think you'll be confident if it is dry as well?
Yeah, I would say so. I've got a few laps in the break we've got, and I feel pretty comfortable. The main issue could be the track limits, because it's pretty easy to do small mistakes. For me, especially to cut the corners, not to extend it at the exit. But I hope I can manage to stay in the lines and get a clean race tomorrow.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Good luck tomorrow. And just quickly, sorry for the printer in the background. It's decided to turn itself on at a perfect time. We continue interviews with Zingy. Zingy, that was a P2 in the end. Hard fought for, looking for the P1, but are you not really too disappointed considering the circumstances?
Well, over the course of the last few races, you know, Aaron, that I've struggled with finishing and doing good in terms of results. So I was doubting myself, especially coming into Spa, the track that I've been known for me not really having a consistent level on. So I was expecting probably just a P3, P4 again, behind Person and Caution, of course. But I'm happy to say that I had a lot of pace, and I almost won the thing actually, but Flaw just had a lot of battery. He had lower wings and he was able to just fly by in the last lap, which was, of course, heartbreaking, but I'm so happy that I was still able to get it done.
Yeah, really good points for AlphaTauri, and it's looking on the up again to try and, you know, have a bad circuit but still do well. And you're going to have a couple of circuits to the later stages of this season to be able to have a nice advantage at. Japan, is that a circuit that you like or not so much?
Previously, I would have said that I really don't like Japan because of the controller delay when you turn left and right. There used to be a delay when you turned in the middle. So, but that's been eradicated now, of course, with this new game. And I do feel as though that I might not have the raw pace on Japan as such, but I reckon with a good setup and from what Flaw's told me over the last few days, I can definitely challenge for the win again.
Awesome, great to hear, and thank you very much, Zingy. Well done today. Great effort and great points for AlphaTauri.
Thank you very much.
We finished the interviews with Nifojan. Nifojan, I don't want to swear, but finally, that was a crazy race. We didn't quite get to see how close it was at the end with JJ, but yeah, you explained earlier in the VC, which I will not explain myself. I'll let you do it, but well done. That is finally a very good result with minimal hindrance. Of course, yeah, field didn't exactly help. But take us through that race.
Yeah, that was insane. I think that's the most eventful race I've had in a while. Yeah, I mean, instantly in quali, me and Zingy, like, we just skipped the run just to, like, look at the setup, and we basically just decided on taking a gamble that it was going to stay wet, because it basically told us that it was going to rain for a long time. So that basically made quali very difficult, because there was grip that I didn't know existed, and I was basically on the limit everywhere, and I invalidated as well, so instantly made it very hard for myself. But when we loaded into race, we saw wet, so I was like, okay, we could do something. And I think the first sim went relatively well, but I did notice that I did -1 on the fuel, and just noticed it wasn't going away. And I was like, how is this possible? It's full wet and Spa, like low downforce. Like, how am I not losing fuel? So I was like, I'm cooked. And then the safety car came out, and I was driving very slowly to like gain a lap back. And then at the restart on the inters, I could just see that like the low downforce. Basically, I think we were the only ones with high downforce, but the low downforce people were like catching up to us very quickly, like on the straight, like 8/10s, 7/10s, the stupid numbers. So I thought when it went dry as well, I thought that we were in a very bad position. But I think we worked good together as a team, and even though I had the fuel save for a lot, I think we made the right strategy choices, and obviously it led to finally a good result after like 2 months. So it was a lot of fun. I usually hate the rain, but it was fine to drive today, so I enjoyed it.
Awesome. That's very, very good to hear, and well done today. I'm very happy for you. Brilliant driving as well. Great pace on many occasions. I thought it was going to be an AlphaTauri 1-2 a few times. Japan, do you like that circuit with the momentum that you have? Do you think you can do well?
Well, hopefully I will get just a crash-free, instant-free race again, which would be lovely. I do struggle a bit with high speed, but I think Japan has been a good track for me in the past, so let's just hope I can gain some of that back.
Awesome. Yeah, you're very quick there. Thank you very much, Nifo, and we'll see you next time. Well done today. Congratulations. Great result.
Thank you.
And that's been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you tomorrow for the Belgian Grand Prix for the F1.5 EU Championship. We'll see you next weekend for the Japanese Grand Prix, an amazing circuit. Can't wait. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.